Purple alien blood pooled on the rain-slicked pavement as the Talarian female lay crumpled in the dark alley. Gasping for help, moments from death after a brutal clan attack left her to die slowly and painfully, discarded in the human city slums like trash. Medical student Wayne Brown, 22, cautiously approached the alleyway, his heart racing at the strange alien cries echoing from the darkness ahead. He inched forward, hands trembling with each step, until his eyes locked onto her mangled violet form, collapsed and twitching in the flickering neon shadows. Wayne's mouth hung open in disbelief, watching the thick indigo fluid oozing from her wounds as the alien wheezed out feeble pleas in broken English. This was a Talarian, one of the cruel alien overlords that had subjugated and brutalized humanity for decades after their overwhelming victory in the First Contact War. The Talarians saw humans as piteous, primitive savages, barely fit for slavery and exploitation. To them, Earth was just a planet to be stripped of resources before disposal, and its population useful only as labor and entertainment. Under the rule of the Talarians and the Galactic Council, humans faced relentless oppression, discrimination, and abuse. But this pitiful wounded creature did not look like a cruel alien overlord. She looked small, scared, and helpless as she reached a trembling purple hand towards Wayne, palm open, begging. "Help! Me!" she choked out, blood dripping from her lips. "Please!" Wayne swallowed hard, his conscience torn between fear and compassion. Aiding an illegal alien was a serious crime. If caught, he faced a lifetime in prison at best, and summary execution by police drone at worst. The Talarians would surely want her back. There would be searches, investigations, retribution against any humans involved. But he couldn't just leave her here to die alone in agony. Wayne looked around furtively and saw no witnesses. He sighed heavily. Then, as gently as possible, he scooped up the bleeding alien and started quickly towards his apartment, sticking to side streets to avoid the ever-present police drones. With each step, he wondered what the hell he had just got himself into and what consequences would follow. One thing was certain. This was about to change everything, for him and for the world. Wayne worked feverishly through the night, using every bit of medical knowledge he had to keep the gravely wounded Talarian alive. As he cut away her shredded uniform to access her injuries, he noticed a strange metallic glint embedded in her purple skin. Carefully extracting it, Wayne realized it was some kind of high-tech device, leagues beyond any human technology. Hours later, as the first rays of sunlight peeked through the blinds, Tharos's eyes fluttered open. She groaned, trying to sit up, but Wayne gently pushed her back down. "Easy there. You've lost a lot of blood. Just rest." Tharos shook her head urgently, wincing at the effort. "No time. The device, you found it?" Wayne nodded, holding it up. "That contains critical intel. There's a faction of Talarians plotting a full-scale invasion of Earth. They want to strip your planet bare and enslave your people. That device is the key to stopping them." Wayne's blood ran cold. "An invasion? But why? How?" "They believe your species is weak, ripe for conquest. I was trying to stop them, but they attacked me first. Please, you have to get that device to the Galactic Council. It needs a human operator to work. You're the only one who can do this." Wayne's mind reeled. He was just a med student, now suddenly thrust into a fight for humanity's survival. I can't. This is insane. I'm not a soldier or a spy. I can't just leave everything behind." Before Tharos could respond, the apartment door burst open with a crash. 3 hulking Talarians stormed in, weapons drawn. "Hand over the female and the device, human." Acting on pure adrenaline, Wayne grabbed Tharos and dove out the window onto the fire escape. Blaster shots narrowly missed them as they scrambled down into the alley and fled, the Talarians in close pursuit. As they raced through the neon-lit underbelly of the city, Tharos spoke between pained breaths. "Wayne, there's more. The Talarians have infiltrated your government. They're weakening Earth's defenses from within. If we can't expose the truth..." She let the dire implication hang. Heart-pounding, Wayne tried to process this new reality, where nothing was as it seemed and the fate of billions hung by a thread. He glanced at the strange purple alien he had saved, and the device clutched tightly in his hand. He didn't know what would happen next, but he did know there was no turning back now. Wayne's lungs burned as he sprinted down the alleyway, Tharos stumbling behind him. The sound of heavy boots and guttural shouts echoed off the grimy brick walls, getting closer with each passing second. "Stay in here," Wayne hissed, yanking open a rusted metal door and dragging Tharos into the abandoned warehouse. The air inside was thick with dust and the stench of decay. Wayne slammed the door shut, his heart pounding in his ears. But there was no time to catch their breath. A deafening blast rocked the building as the door exploded inward, sending Wayne and Tharos sprawling. Through the smoke and debris, Wayne saw the unmistakable silhouettes of Talarian soldiers, their armor glinting in the dim light. "Surrender the device and the traitor," one of them growled, leveling his plasma rifle at Wayne's chest, "or die." Wayne's hand closed around the strange device embedded in Tharos's arm. In a flash of desperation, his fingers found a hidden switch and pressed it. The device pulsed with sudden heat, and a blinding wave of energy erupted from it, washing over the Talarians. They screamed in agony, dropping their weapons and collapsing to the ground, writhing and twitching. Wayne stared at the device in shock, hardly able to believe what had just happened. What did I just do?" "You activated the Nexus key," Tharos said, her voice filled with awe. "An artifact of immense power lost for millennia. It responds to you." She went on to explain that the key could manipulate vast amounts of energy, enough to create or destroy entire worlds. The Talarians had sought it for centuries, believing it would make them unstoppable. With the strike team incapacitated, Wayne and Tharos raced to the roof, where a sleek Talarian shuttle was parked. As alarms began to sound across the city, they blasted off into the night sky, the key thrumming with power in Wayne's hand. Earth's orbital defenses fired on them, but Wayne found he could use the key to deflect the shots shielding their stolen craft. As they broke atmosphere and hurtled into the star-strewn void, Tharos began to reveal the true extent of the Talarian threat. She was part of a secret rebel faction, fighting to overthrow the cruel Talarian regime that had oppressed the galaxy for generations. "The Resistance has dreamed of finding the Nexus key," she said. "With it we could finally break the Talarians' hold on the galaxy, but none of us can wield it, only you." Wayne's mind reeled as he tried to process everything that had happened. In a matter of hours, he had gone from a med student to the most wanted man in the universe, the key to an alien rebellion in his hands. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, Tharos warned. The Talarians would stop at nothing to reclaim their prize. But as they plunged deeper into uncharted space, a glimmer of hope began to emerge. Ancient ruins and cryptic clues pointed to a long-lost civilization that had once controlled the Nexus key. If Wayne and Tharos could unravel the mystery of the key's origins, they might find the power to change the course of galactic history. But they would have to move fast. The Talarian fleet was already on their tail and the clock was ticking. The fate of billions hung in the balance, and Wayne was the only one who could tip the scales. He took a deep breath, his grip tightening on the key, and prepared himself for the fight of his life. As the stolen Talarian shuttle hurtled through the void, Wayne Brown, the human med student, turned galactic fugitive, pored over the ancient star charts with Tharos, the wounded alien rebel he had saved. The Nexus key, the artifact of immense power fused to his hand, hummed with an otherworldly energy as they followed the trail of cryptic clues left behind by a long-vanished civilization. Their search led them to the very edge of Talarian space, to a remote, uncharted world shrouded in mystery. As they pierced the veil of swirling clouds, the rusting hulks of ancient starships littering the planet's orbit glinted in the ghostly light. The shuttle touched down in a clearing amidst the dense, twisted jungle that seemed to swallow the planet's surface. Wayne and Tharos ventured cautiously from the ship, the strange cries of alien beasts echoing through the fetid air. With each step, the ground beneath their feet thrummed with an unseen power. Pushing through the undergrowth, they stumbled upon the crumbling ruins of a vast city, its towering spires and sprawling avenues choked with creeping vines and gnarled roots. The architecture was unlike anything Wayne had ever seen, all soaring curves and shimmering surfaces that seemed to defy the very laws of physics. As they picked their way through the eerie, abandoned streets, a flicker of movement caught Wayne's eye. He spun around just as a bolt of plasma seared the air beside his head. Dark figures emerged from the shadows, weapons trained on the human and Talarian. "Don't move!" a gruff voice barked. The figures resolved into a ragtag group of Talarians, their armor battered and smeared with mud and gore. Tharos's eyes widened in recognition. "Zoran?" The leader of the group, a grizzled warrior with a jagged scar across his face, lowered his weapon. "Tharos? By the stars, we thought you were dead." Zoran, Tharos's mentor and the leader of the rebel faction, ushered them into a hidden bunker beneath the city streets. There, amidst the flickering light of ancient consoles and the acrid stench of unwashed bodies, he revealed the truth. The rebels had been using this planet as their secret base for years, searching for any advantage against the tyrannical Talarian regime. But Zoran's greatest revelation was about Tharos herself. "You are not just a rebel, Tharos," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "You are the rightful heir to the Talarian throne, the daughter of the last true king, who was overthrown by the current regime. Your destiny is to lead our people to freedom." Tharos reeled from the news, her world spinning. As she grappled with her true identity, the rebels knelt before her, pledging their allegiance to the lost princess who had returned. Together they delved deep into the heart of the ancient city, following the Nexus Key's pulsing light. In a hidden chamber, amidst artifacts of unimaginable power, they found a holographic star map pointing the way to the key's final piece. It was hidden on a distant Talarian military installation, a fortress bristling with enough firepower to incinerate an entire fleet. As Wayne studied the map, a chilling realization dawned on him. The Nexus Key was more than just a tool to manipulate energy. It was a gateway to a vast, interdimensional network that connected all of reality. With the complete key, one could reshape the very fabric of the universe itself. The weight of this revelation hung heavy in the air as Wayne and Tharos prepared for their final mission. With the rebel fleet at their back, they set course for the Talarian stronghold, knowing that the fate of all life hung in the balance. The assault was as brutal as it was swift. Wayne, his mastery of the Nexus Key growing with each passing moment, tore through the base's defenses like a force of nature, the very foundations of the fortress quaking beneath his power. As the battle raged, Wayne confronted the Talarian warlord, who had orchestrated this galactic game of chess, a ruthless tyrant who cared only for his own power. They clashed in a titanic struggle, the fury of their battle shaking the stars themselves. In the end, Wayne emerged victorious, the warlord's broken body at his feet. But the cost was high. The Nexus Key, the artifact that had started it all, shattered under the strain of their final conflict, the interdimensional network it controlled collapsing in on itself. As the dust settled, Wayne and Tharos stood amidst the ruins of the Talarian regime, the weight of their actions sinking in. The key was gone, and with it, the power to reshape reality itself. But perhaps that was for the best. Such power was too great for any one being to control. Together, they looked to the future, to a galaxy free from Talarian oppression, where humans and aliens could live as equals. The road ahead would be long and hard, but with each other and the brave rebels who had fought beside them, they knew that a new dawn was finally breaking over the stars. The smoke from the smoldering ruins of the Talarian stronghold still hung thick in the air. As Wayne and Tharos emerged, battered but victorious, the shattered remains of the Nexus Key clutched in Wayne's hand. Word of their triumph spread like wildfire through the rebel ranks and across the oppressed worlds of the Talarian Empire. In the days that followed, as the Talarian warlords fell one by one, and their once mighty fleets scattered to the stars, Wayne and Tharos found themselves at the center of a galaxy-wide revolution. Everywhere they went, they were greeted as saviors, as the legends who had broken the chains of Talarian tyranny. But even as the celebrations raged across 100 liberated worlds, a new and terrifying reality began to set in. The The destruction of the Nexus Key had not only shattered the Talarians' hold on power, but had also sent shockwaves rippling through the very fabric of space and time. The vast interdimensional network that had once connected the stars began to unravel, the pathways between worlds twisting and fracturing until entire systems were cut off, lost in the void. Trade routes vanished, communication relays went dark, and the delicate balance that had held the galaxy together for millennia teetered on the brink of collapse. In the midst of this growing chaos, a chilling new threat emerged. They called themselves the Voidbringers, and they swept across the destabilized galaxy like a plague, their sleek black ships seemingly impervious to all weapons. Planet after planet fell before their onslaught, entire civilizations vanishing into the darkness as the Voidbringers stripped their worlds bare and enslaved their populations. Those who resisted were obliterated, their cities reduced to molten slag by the invaders' devastating energy weapons. Faced with an enemy even more ruthless and implacable than the Talarians, the free worlds of the galaxy turned to Wayne and Tharos as their last hope. Across 1,000 systems, the call went out, a desperate plea for the heroes of the rebellion to take up arms once more and lead the fight against the Voidbringers. With a heavy heart, Wayne and Tharos rallied the remaining ships and soldiers of the rebel fleet. They knew that the odds were stacked against them, that the Voidbringers possessed technology far beyond anything they had ever encountered, but they also knew that they could not stand idly by as the galaxy burned. And so, they set out to meet the Voidbringer threat head-on. Leading a ragtag armada of rebels, mercenaries, and allies from a dozen worlds, in a series of desperate battles and daring raids, they clashed with the enemy at every turn, from the haunted depths of the Argos Nebula to the shattered ruins of the Talarian homeworld. Slowly, painfully, they began to turn the tide, scoring hard-won victories against the Voidbringer fleets and liberating the worlds that had fallen under their sway. But with each battle, the true scale of the threat they faced became ever more apparent. The Voidbringers were not just another alien race, not just another empire seeking to dominate the stars. They were something far worse, a twisted reflection of humanity itself, born in the shattered remains of a parallel universe where the Nexus Key had been used not to create, but to destroy. In that blighted reality, warped by the Key's unchecked power, they had become something monstrous, a civilization that existed only to consume and enslave, to spread their corrupted vision of existence across every plane of reality. And now, with the barriers between universes crumbling, they had come to Wayne's galaxy, determined to remake it in their own twisted image. The final battle came in the skies above a dying star, the Voidbringer armada massed in all its terrible glory. As the fleets clashed in a storm of fire and death, Wayne and Tharos fought their way to the heart of the enemy flagship, where the Voidbringer leader awaited them, a dark mirror of Wayne himself wielding a Nexus Key forged in the depths of a shattered universe. In that moment, facing the twisted reflection of his own soul, Wayne knew what he had to do. With the last of his strength, he unleashed the power of his own Nexus Key, pouring everything he had into one final desperate gambit. Reality itself shuddered as the two keys met, their energies intertwining in a cataclysmic burst of light and darkness. Wayne felt himself falling, his mind and body unraveling as the boundaries between worlds collapsed around him. But even as he fell, he saw the Voidbringer fleet disintegrating, their twisted forms consumed by the fires of oblivion. He saw Tharos beside him, her hand reaching for his as they tumbled into the void between worlds. And he saw the breach between realities sealing itself, the wound in the fabric of existence closing forever, as the Nexus Keys burned themselves out in one last universe-shattering explosion. Then there was only silence and darkness, and the knowledge that whatever came next, they had given everything to save the galaxy they loved. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.